front fix.
Man, I'm sitting there.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Arizona. I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience, a lot of good friends. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Phil Einert. I do truck, SUV, CUV, and commercial vehicle PR for Nissan. And some of you might be wondering why we chose to do this event in Arizona. It's not just because we got a great deal on the hotels and because the weather's nice this time of year. It's actually because Arizona is the location of our proving grounds, the Arizona Test Center down in Stanfield in Maricopa County. And it is the home to many of the engineers that did very important things in the development of this vehicle. As many of you who've been following the launch of the Titan know, this vehicle, for having come from a Japanese company, it's got a very distinct American heritage. It was designed in San Diego, it was engineered in Arizona, and up at our technical facility in Farmington Hills outside of Detroit. It's being built right now as we speak down at our plant in Canton, Mississippi, with engines provided from our own engine plant in Decker, Tennessee, and then of course with the Titan XD in Columbus, Indiana. So we're going to go through more housekeeping and introduce some more of the faces that you're going to see along the course of the event today after the presentation's over. But right now I'd like to introduce the man who is really kind of the heart and soul and the guiding vision of this program from its inception, Rich Miller. And Rich has got a dual designation within the company of Chief Product Specialist. And you know what that equates to is basically somebody who is the quarterback of an entire program. So Rich has oversight over the design, over the engineering, the marketing, the sales, really all aspects of Titan have to go through him ultimately. And Rich is also the director of product planning at Nissan in the States for trucks, for SUVs, and commercial vehicles. And Rich is also a ASU alumni and a proud native of the state of Arizona. So Rich, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Phil, and welcome to my hometown, Phoenix. Glad you can all be here today. A little bit more of my background. I have 20 years of experience with Nissan. I started right here at our Arizona Test Center as a vehicle evaluations engineer. And about 10 years ago, I moved over to product planning and moved my family to Nashville, Tennessee. So it's always nice to come back, especially when it's nice and sunny and cool outside instead of being here in July when it's 120 degrees, which I don't miss at all. I'm going to go ahead and get started into the program. I first want to start off with just kind of the history of the, or a look at the segment and a little look going back, but the rest of the presentation is going to be as we move forward. We launched our original Titan in 2003 calendar year as an 04 model year, and in that first 12 months, we sold over 91,000 units. And as you can see, that was at a very peak time period for the segment. You can see in the 07, 08 time period, we had the sharp decline getting down to just over 1 million units in the full-size segment, in the truck segment. And you can see also that in the last 3 to 4 years, we've had steady growth in getting back up over the 2 million mark, climbing back up to where it was at a historical level. So we did launch it at a good time, and now we're relaunching again at another steady growth period, and we're looking forward to this time period. Now, to talk about Nissan, we need to, the Titan, we also need to see what our full lineup is. And Nissan has launched a few years ago our light commercial vehicle division, what we call the LCV division. That encompasses our vans and our trucks. So I want to go over all of our portfolio before we get into the Titan itself. So on the small van side, we have our NV200 van, which is also a sister with the New York Taxi of tomorrow. We also have our full-size cargo van, the NV 1500, 2500, and 3500 series. And then we also have our 12-passenger van in our LCV division. In the truck side, we have the Frontier, which sits in the mid-size pickup truck segment. And then we have the Titan truck. Now, why we show 2 pictures here, and we don't have the image of the Titan up here, because we haven't released what the image is I want to make sure everybody's clear. We will have 2 trucks coming out. Today, you will be driving the Titan XD with the optional Cummins engine. That means the Titan XD comes standard with a V8 5.6 liter engine, and the option is to have the diesel, and that's what you'll be driving today. Later on in the year, we will be launching the Titan. Now, they are 2 separate trucks. They will share a cab and some of the beds, but the front end will be unique. And also behind me is the chassis for the Titan XD. This chassis and frame is unique for the XD. It does not share a bolt, screw, even down to the lug nuts with the Titan itself. So the Titan will be a traditional 1500 competitor. This truck will be one that I'll talk about, and then it will be a little bit more capability, a little bit more capacity, and a little bit more towing and hauling capability. So I just want to set the stage for how the role in our lineup will be set up in the future. So I'm typically asked, you know, when you came up with when the concept was created within Nissan, what were your keys for success? And I break it down to the 4 simple ones that we have to do with this truck. First and foremost is styling. No matter how great the capability of the truck, no matter how great it performs, if it's not a good looking truck, people frankly just don't want to buy it. So we must make sure that we have a very tough and rugged and appealing truck, and that's something we have. Our designers here, Randy and John from our design studio, are here today, and we'll talk with you later on. But we wanted to make sure we have a commanding front presence for this truck, especially when we added the new diesel engine. We wanted to make sure when people looked at this truck that they said there's something underneath the hood of that truck that's big and bold, and we wanted to make sure the styling stayed with that. Second is the powertrain. That's the heart and soul of the truck. One of the top purchase reasons for trucks is the powertrain and the acceleration feel. We'll have multiple engines for this truck. The one that you'll be looking at today is our Cummins diesel, triple nickel, 555 foot-pounds of torque. And then we also have our optional gas engine, our standard gas engine that will come with that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then I put on here focus on durability, quality, and reliability. The number one purchase reason for trucks is quality. That's the reason people decide one truck over another, is how the quality is of that truck. Before we kick this program, or when we kick this program off to the engineering team, we said one thing to them: before you start putting these parts together, you have to make sure that the quality is your number one priority. Don't come and talk to us about the cost or the mass of the part. Make sure your quality and performances hit all targets before we discuss the cost and mass implications. And you'll see that throughout the vehicle with larger components on the vehicle, brakes, axles, and you also see that in the fuel economy, in the performances, especially when you look at the power to fuel economy study that we have on it. And then lastly, new configurations. I talked about we launched the original Titan in 2003. We sold 91,000 units, and we covered about 50% of the segment. Our configuration was basically a king cab truck or a crew cab truck with a 5.5 foot bed, 6.5 foot bed, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and 1 engine. That's it. That's 50% of the full-size truck segment. Today, we will be covering over 85% of the segment with these 2 trucks. That means we're adding V6 engines for the base truck. We're adding a work truck. We're adding a regular cab truck. We're adding more configurations in there to cover more of these segments. When that downturn happened in 2007, a lot of people got out of the truck segment. But the ones that stayed were the ones with the lifestyle, that this is the truck they have to have. They're hunters, fishermen, outdoorsmen. They're not going to go to a Prius or another vehicle. They have to have a truck for their lifestyle. The other people that stayed is the construction guys and work guys. Those guys didn't leave because this is their livelihood. They need a truck for what they're building and what they're using it for. At Nissan, we had some of those configurations, but we didn't have that regular cab work truck to continue in that commercial area. So now we'll be expanding our market into those areas. So, exterior, like I said, Randy is here. He was the lead designer on the truck. He can talk to you all day long about the styling, and he's a great person to talk with about it. Like I said, if you look at the front of this truck, we wanted to make sure, and the only thing that I really talked to them about is I wanted to make sure that people saw the big and bad engine that's going to be underneath the hood. And I wanted to make sure that when they saw this truck pass them on the road, they knew what it was. And that was one of the reasons we put Titan right on the front of the grille. They looked in the mirror and saw who was coming around, and they knew it was going to be this big Titan coming around. With regards to the other items, Randy can go through those with you. We talk about white space, and this is something that was coined by Phil O'Connor, our marketing director. He's here today. And what this really is that when we went to focus groups and talked to customers, when we were coming back up with how we're going to concept this new truck, we went to all corners of the U.S. We went to focus groups in Atlanta, Minneapolis, Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, Denver, San Bernardino, and we asked customers, both 3/4 ton and half-ton customers, what they liked, what they wanted in their next truck. And one thing always resonated in every single one of the 3/4 ton focus groups was, I love my truck, but you know what? I'm paying so much for this truck now compared to what I paid for my previous one. I'm still towing the same trailer, but now my truck can tow 17, 18, 19,000 pounds, and I'm paying for it. Isn't there something in between? Isn't there a truck that can still tow 10, 12,000 pounds, but at a more economical position? I still need a diesel because I'm towing a lot, I'm hauling a lot, I like the diesel. Isn't there something there? Then we heard on the half-ton guys say, when are they going to come out with a diesel in a half-ton truck? I mean, I'm looking for a diesel. I'm not looking for a grocery getter diesel. I'm looking for a diesel that can haul a little bit more comfort, more stability than what I have today. And so we went back and we looked and we found that 75,000 customers per year were moving from the 3/4 ton segment down into the half-ton segment. At the same time, there were 75,000 customers moving up from the half-ton segment to the 3/4 ton segment. And these are just the customers that got off the fence. These are the ones that decided to change segments with their trucks. So we started to do a lot more analysis into this, and that's where this, what we call the white space or the positioning of this truck came from the customers telling us we want something in between, a truck that has a little bit less capability than a traditional 3/4 ton, but at a less price, but fits their needs. And if you go back and you'll see the numbers in just a minute, and people ask me all the time, well, what is this truck? Is it a 3/4 ton? Is it a half ton? Please choose one or the other. We're not choosing what segment it is. The customer's going to choose. If he needs a truck that can tow 10 to 12,000 pounds, this is the truck for him. If he wants to tow 17,000 pounds, it's not the truck for him. He needs to get one that's more. But, so that's how we've defined it. Now, the government would define this as a Class 2B truck. That's what it's classed. It's over 85 GVW. It's a Class 2B truck. So, but from our standpoint, we're letting the customer decide it's a more capable half-ton truck, and it's to fit the need for the customer that's looking to haul over, around 12,000 pounds on their trailer. And the key thing that we noticed is, if you go back to 2003 to 2005, and you look at a 3/4 ton truck at that time, you're going to find every single one of them had 550 foot-pounds of torque. They all had 300 horsepower. They all took 12,500 pounds. That's exactly where this truck is. So if you want us to segment it, okay, it's a 3/4 ton truck from 2003, it's retro. And that's where we have it positioned. From a powertrain standpoint, I've talked a lot about the Cummins. They are great partners for us. We've been working with them for quite a few years. We've done some DOE projects with them. And when it came to deciding on the diesel engine, they had the perfect match. We looked all around at other diesel engines. We have our own diesel engines globally that are great diesel engines. But they didn't fit the concept that we wanted. Working with Cummins, they came to us and said, you remember that DOE project we were working on many years ago? I think we've got it close to what you want. And we worked with them on it. That engine came out at 450 horsepower, 450 torque foot-pounds, and I said, that's not going to meet the concept. And through negotiations, we've got it to the triple nickel, and it fits exactly with what we're looking for. We mapped behind that 6-speed ISO transmission that comes out of a much bigger class of truck. But again, we talked about we want reliability, durability, and quality, and that's why we went with this transmission and this setup. And Cummins, there's not a better name in the industry for quality and reliability. So towing aids, I'm going to talk in a little bit more detail on two primary areas. One of those is going to be towing, and the other one's going to be bed innovation. And that's because these are really key drivers for truck guys. If it wasn't for the bed, customers would be buying SUVs. So I want to talk a lot about that, but first I'll touch on the towing. Towing aids, the concept for our towing was two things. One, we wanted to be able to have the customer hook up and set up his trailer to his truck by himself. One-person operation. This came from the focus groups for customers saying, when I want to get up and hook up my trailer, I don't have to wake my wife up. And this is a quote, I have to wake my wife up at 4 o'clock in the morning to help me hook up and check the lights and set up my trailer. And it doesn't help that I like to go bass fishing there early in the morning and she doesn't like it. I think it'll be better if I could do this by myself and do it safely. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but we took that in and said, okay, there's one innovation we need to do. The other one was we wanted to make sure that if a customer, and we're not saying they're going to do this, but if a customer wanted to, he could drive up to our dealership with his old truck and his trailer, and he can drive away after buying our truck and would have to buy an accessory item for his truck from aftermarket. He could get it all right there from us. And so you'll see that as the overall theme for the concepts for our trailering. So the first thing is to solve that need for getting his wife up at 4 o'clock in the morning with the trailer light checker. This is a patent that we have right now, and it's a great feature to see. This basically eliminates having a second person inside the cab of the truck flipping the turn signals or sitting on or stepping on the brake so you can check the lights on your trailer. With the push of the fob, it's actually a redundant system. You can do it from the meter, you can do it from the fob. But if you do lock, hold lock on the fob, the truck will honk. If you have that set up, you can turn that horn off so you don't have to wake her up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But you can hold down the lock, and the left turn signal will go on, and the right turn signal, then the brakes, the running lights. Then it'll honk again and say, okay, I'm all done. That way you can stand behind your truck and your trailer and check the lights all the way around, make sure that everything is working properly and you're safe to go on the road. Again, patented innovation from Nissan. Integrated trailer brake controller. This goes back to the need of not having to buy an aftermarket part when you buy the truck. The trucks come equipped with the trailer brake controller, comes standard on all SV Titan XDs and above, and eliminates the need to go get an aftermarket. Now the trailer brake controller, basically this is the interface between the truck and the trailer. When you have electric brakes on your trailer, you need to have some way of communicating to the trailer from the truck. The trailer brake controller is your communication to the trailer. It says, okay, I'm stopping, start applying the electric brakes, and then you can adjust how much braking you want on your trailer. And then you also have the slide mechanism that manually operates your electric brakes on your trailer. Integrated gooseneck hitch. You're going to tow 12,000 pounds or over 10,000 pounds. A lot of those trailers come with either a gooseneck or a fifth wheel. With each Titan XD on the SV grade and above comes standard with the gooseneck hitch. We have a genuine Nissan accessory for a fifth wheel adapter. So if the customer, and typically the difference between these trailers are this. The guy has a horse trailer, is doing a lot more off-road driving with this trailer. They typically sell those trailers with the gooseneck. More on-road, like your RV trailers or fifth wheel trailers. And that's because the gooseneck has a ball on it. There's a lot more articulation that can be done on the ball than on the kingpin style with the fifth wheel style. So we offer both. Standard comes the gooseneck. You can buy the option from Nissan at the point of purchase at our stores to get the fifth wheel. Downhill speed control. When we launched the original Titan, this was an innovation we were working on at the time, and we put a lot on. And we were one of the first companies to have this. And this is where when the truck senses you're going down, we have yaw sensors that tell us the pitch of the truck, and we can sense you're going down. And by applying the brakes, the truck will now determine whether or not to downshift. And since the original Titan to this Titan, we've done a lot more evolution, a lot more work with Ison and Jackpot, our two suppliers for our transmission, regarding if it's a gas or a diesel engine. And now you'll get to experience this today when you're out driving and towing. It's a great feature. This is for keen on comfort while driving. And we're going to talk a lot about comfort while towing with this truck. This is one of the key areas. Without this, the vehicle can continue to accelerate. You're constantly having to hit the brake, but with our downhill speed control, you actually get a downshift. Engine RPMs will hold you back and will give you a very comfortable speed while you're going down the grade. It's an awesome feature to have. You can you start that by having the tow haul mode on while towing, and then you'll feel it on the grade storm. It's a great feature. Trailer sway control, we won't be simulating that today, hopefully, but it is there on the vehicle if you need it. Basically, this is if the trailer is starting to sway, the truck brakes will start to activate and straighten out the trailer. And again, we have this feature, but we won't be showing that off today. Typically, we would show this off on our proving grounds. We have an actual trailer that we can induce sway on, and you can see this feature work for you. Now, from a ride comfort standpoint, and I'll just talk a little bit about this. Again, as we're positioning the truck between the half-ton and the three-quarter-ton segment, some of the key things that we wanted to make sure that we did to differentiate ourselves from the three-quarter-ton class was to improve the ride comfort and handling of the truck, and along with the quietness of the truck. These were some of those complaints that we were hearing from the customer when he had to decide to take the three-quarter-ton over the half-ton, is that there's a significant difference in ride comfort and handling between a half-ton and a three-quarter-ton truck. And predominantly that is due to the fact that you're getting up to 10,000 GVW. Now, these huge payloads on what the three-quarter tons are today, you have to tighten up the springs and the suspension to accommodate that. By having a middle position, we're able to improve our ride comfort and position ourselves between. So when you're driving today, this is one of the key scenes that we want you to see while driving, is the ride comfort improvement that we've done on this vehicle. To go along with that, I know each of you have all heard of our zero gravity seats. I think we launched those on our Murano program first.